A big day for Ford. CEO Alan Mulally will address analysts and investors today, trying to restore confidence in the automaker after its stock slumped 25% in the past 4 months. His main message is going to be an aggressive one. He'll say Ford plans to increase production to about 8 million cars over the next 5 years or so, and that is a boost of about 45% from current levels. Gerald Greenwald, managing partner at Greenbriar Equity Group, has some rare insights for us into Ford. He has served as president of Ford Venezuela and director of Ford Europe. Jerry, welcome to the Inside Track. Can Alan Mulally do this? Think about China for a moment. GM has 14% of the Chinese market. Ford only has 4%. He wants to take Asia Pacific's share of Ford sales up to about a third versus 15% today, more than doubling. Is it doable? It's an awfully big challenge when you think about all the other things he has to do, like fix Europe.
He has set the dinner plate right. He's got his cost right. He has a product line that covers the world, which means that he can go into China or India with product rather than creating product. Small cars, he's got them. New powertrains, he's got them. But there's still an enormous challenge. To go from 5-6 million cars a year to 8 is an enormous step in 5 years. Having said that, don't predict against Alan Mulally. He's done an amazing job at Ford so far.
Now, you were at Ford in Venezuela, as we mentioned, in the country in Venezuela. You've had experience in the emerging markets. What does Ford need to do in China to really win?
Oh, I think they've got to they have to expand their whole management organization with a strong mix of people from each of the countries that they're trying to expand at. Creating dealer body means people on the ground. And in the past, they've tended to rely on Mazda. At one point, they owned 35% of Mazda. I think they own 3 or 4% now. Right. And it's time. It's time for them to take it on their own. But it means if it were military, you'd say lots of boots on the ground.
Let's talk about how they meet the challenge that you just articulated a couple of minutes ago, getting from 5.3 million cars produced today to 8 million in 5 or 6 years. Clearly, you have to produce them somewhere. Where would it be? Where is it better to make cars right now, America or China, if China and some of the other Asian emerging markets are your targets?
Usually, and I think we're in a usually period, they need to build cars for China, in China. They need to build cars in India for India. They need to build cars, as they do, in the U.S. for the U.S. markets. It clears up currency issues. It clears up the need for focus on each market. But at the same time, they can use the same products in each of the plants that they...
So they might make some specialty parts, say, here. I mean, I'm just thinking of how are the unions going to take these announcements, that kind of thing. And they are important to the way that these automakers function going forward.
Well, one of the challenges that Ford, GM, Chrysler, for that matter, all the car companies are facing is a big increase, a risk of a big increase in their materials costs. And in the case of the Detroit 3, the press from the UAW members who are saying we want some back. And this is not a very good time for that because they have to keep their costs down, and I think they'll find a way to do it.
They'll find a way to do it. You said it could clear up some currency concerns if Ford builds Chinese cars or market Chinese cars in China. What about cultural clashes? I mean, we've heard for a lot of the big Fortune 500 companies that it's actually pretty hard to function in China right now.
Well, the Chinese government wants to do all they can to adapt technologies from other countries and other companies, and those companies want to hold on to their own technology. That's really the press, and it applies to automobiles. More technology in automobiles these days, and even in the computer industry, and yet they can't just do it openly in China and hope to guard their technology. So there's a tension.
Jerry, if you were Alan Mulally right now, or maybe Dan Akerson, CEO of General Motors, how concerned would you be about the signs we've seen, especially in the past week, about the slowing U.S. economy? This could really undermine Ford's plans, even if it is successful with its efforts to expand abroad.
Whether it's GM or Ford, or for sure Chrysler, they still are quite dependent on the North American market and for their current profits. And I'm sure they're worried. I mean, everybody's worried. The signs of the last month or so are not all that encouraging, and these guys need to see total car and truck sales go from where they were last year, 12 million, more or less, across the industry. I mean, in the U.S., back up to 15 or 16 million. That only happens with a growing economy, and they're very dependent on that growth.
Jerry, great to have you here in the Inside Track. We look forward to having you back soon. Gerald Greenwald of Greenbriar Equity Group, former executive at Ford and also at Chrysler.